we will call the Tuesday, November 29th FARGODOME Authority meeting to order. You have the agenda in front of you. Are there any additions that we'd like to add? If not,
Move to approve.
Second.
are you taking notes, or are we waiting for Amanda?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's why she told me she had to leave. I sort of like that. Okay. All right.
Rick
I'm
made the
sorry,
motion.
Rick.
David seconded. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, we have the minutes in front of you. If there are no corrections, I'll entertain a motion to accept them.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we got a first by Nancy, a second by Dan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, is there any old business to bring in front of the authority? Hearing none, new business, and we will start with the general manager's report. Rob.
All right, thank you. Page 3 is in many of the most past meetings, never say always. Left-hand side of the page is the month, which is October of 2022. Right-hand side is year-to-date through October of 2022. Starting with the month of October, 8 events with an attendance of just under 72,000 people. We had total event income of just about $435,000, or just about $100,000 above budget. We did have expenses of $434,000, which also was about $32,000 above budget. As you know, the energy charges and everything, as we continue to go with that, talk a little bit more. But for the month of October, we had a net surplus of just under $150,000 compared to a budget of just over $73,000. So good numbers for that coming in there. On the event side, with 3 NDSU football games, about $88,500 above budget. Obviously, price increases, the selling of alcohol obviously continue to have their effect on those games, and that was the homecoming game and also the SDSU game, as well as Illinois State, and those first two had a little bit higher attendance as well. On the trade show side, the big one art and craft fair show, good attendance, a little bit higher ancillary revenues, so about $8,900 above budget. And on the amateur side, we had 3 days of youth football, good attendance, good football or food and beverage sales, so about $6,000 above budget. And then the meeting room's about $2,000 below budget, but busy month with a lot of stuff going on in the meeting rooms, as well as a week of early voting as well, and that's all going to get built into November, so that would have changed the numbers slightly there. On the expense side, labor, consistent with budget, slightly below. Operations, about $32,000 above budget. Again, increases in energy usage, steam, electricity, others. We also did put fuel oil into the generator as we were approaching the winter months. Ice storms, things such as that, we always need to be prepared for if we have an extended period. And then also, as we've kind of talked, as the building gets older, the other expenses that pop up when things break. When your flagpole at home breaks, it's a couple $100. When ours, it's like several $1,000s. So it's just kind of fixing those general items there. And then the concessions contract, above budget again, but obviously a good thing because that means we had higher food and beverage sales on the events here. Questions on the month of October? Year to date then, we've had attendance of just about 345,000. Total event income of just about 2.9 million, or about 230,000 above budget. We've had expenses of 4.1 million, so we are $280,000 above budget there, but back to a net surplus of 131,000. That is down slightly, about 50,000 from our budgeted $184,000 surplus through the first 10 months of October. Any questions on the month, the events? They kind of just roll in. Obviously, you can see with the concerts, that's finished off. NDSU will continue to vary with the November dates, as well as any playoff games such as this week. The family shows are done, the theater is done, trade shows. We'll have a little bit of a change with the ag show going on right now. Convention miscellaneous will have a little bit of a change with the Health Tech Trade Career Fair, as well as amateur, as we finish off the year with Rumble on the Red. Generally comfortable, right around, if I recall correctly, our budgeted surplus for 2022 is in that 50,000 range, and we'll be right around it. We project. And if it's wrong, then Susan projected it, and I just said it. If it's right, we projected it. Questions on the financials?
Mr. Chair, the financials were reviewed and received at the Finance Committee meeting here this past Wednesday as presented. So at this point, I would make a motion to accept the financials at the FDA level as presented.
All right,
Second.
got a second by Rick?
Roll call, Blake,
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
Rick.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Moving on then, page 13, our calendar since our last meeting, which was October 25th. We already talked a little bit about the Illinois State game. Had the last game in October, on October 29th for NDSU. And then just rolled into a lot of football the following week, the first week in November. The Minnesota High School football sectionals on Thursday and Friday. 30th year, 'cause I'm pretty sure they started in 1993 and varied between 1 to 3 days, but kind of set on 2 days now. 4 games Thursday, 5 games Friday, good attendance, lots of activity, pretty long days, but it was great to see high schools back in here again with some good games for the Minnesota side on the 3rd and 4th. Then rolled right into the North Dakota High School Championships with the Dakota Bowl on the 11th, and then added the Mayville State versus Valley City State game on Saturday the 12th. That came about actually the week prior, so appreciate them calling in advance with adding that game with the weather and different things. As we watched the Dakota Bowl, there could have been an option for some other games coming in on that Saturday too, but with the storms that were happening, we weren't totally sure what was going to happen with the Dakota Bowl until they kicked the ball off, not only for the 9 o'clock game, but for the 3 and 6:30 game as well. So with the road closures, we weren't sure if we were going to have to shift some games there or not, but as it ended up, all games got off. And then on Sunday the 13th, the NDSU Gold Star Marching Band had their annual Bands of the Gridiron concert for other bands and families. Then rolled into the UND game here 10 days ago. NDSU UND game on that. Pulled the football turf after that. Fill the Dome made its return to in-person after a 2-year hiatus in the building. And they getting the ball rolling again and are building on their success stories that they had with that. And now the North Dakota Agricultural Association, their Ag Show, moved in Sunday and yesterday with a show today and tomorrow. Questions on any of the past, comments on any past events?
You said that game on the 12th did happen? The Valley City.
Pardon me?
They had that game.
We did have the game,
Okay.
the Mayville State Valley City. We had a couple other teams wanting to come in, but we just didn't know what was going to happen with the Dakota Bowl, so we weren't able to add those games for certain. But we had a couple other colleges call to say, hey, yeah. So I kind of mentioned to the AD at Mayville and at Valley City, this is like 3 of the last 5 years. I remember you guys pushing this game inside, so why don't you just schedule it from now on? So they're looking at that with a couple of other games, so it could go back to having another full day of college football games outside of NDSU if the date is open. So
Just out of curiosity, what kind of attendance do they get?
not a lot. I mean, a little bit have had to with the weather, but it was 1,200, 1,100, if that. So not a lot at all. And even when we used to do the Dakota Athletic Conference, which I don't believe is a conference anymore, but Mayville and Valley City State were part of that too. We would do 4 games of the, like Mayville, Valley City, other schools, and it was a couple thousand for the day. Dakota Bowl would have more. Dakota Bowl had overall 12,000 people for that Friday. This would be a couple thousand. More like, honestly, more like youth football days. Nothing on, anything else on past events? Moving forward then, as we said, the Ag Show will wrap up and move out tomorrow with a quick changeover of FARGODOME staff as well as exhibitor staff as the Health Tech Trade Career Fair with Fargo Public Schools will move in, set up tomorrow afternoon, early evening, and then also load in 5 o'clock Thursday morning. And then that event happens 8 a.m. to 2 o'clock on Thursday. Again, quick teardown, and then we will bring out the football turf so it is ready for by Friday for setup of the playoff game for the second round, as NDSU will then host Montana, 2:30 kick, 1 o'clock doors on Saturday the 3rd. From there, we'll see, and we'll assume that there's going to be a win, and they will host. We won't know that day or time until later on Saturday. So that potentially could be a Friday evening, otherwise a Saturday game. Then from there, things have to fall the right way in order for NDSU to be able to host, since they're the 3 seed. As they continue to win, they could go on the road unless the number 2 team loses, then could be back for another game. And then wrap out the year at the end of the year with Rumble on the Red again, the high school junior varsity tournament on Thursday and Friday the 29th and 30th, and the youth tournament on Saturday morning, early afternoon of the 31st. And I think then we change to 2023. Questions on upcoming events? Just a reminder, the next meeting, there are no committee meetings this month of December, so the next FARGODOME Authority meeting will be on Wednesday, December 14th at 4:30, followed by the annual FARGODOME Authority holiday social at 5:30 on that day. So put that on your calendars. Blake will let you know what room you're supposed to go to.
Great, yeah, thank you.
Ugly sweater contest for that? Christmas sweaters, not ugly.
You win.
What's that?
Well, if
I would
you're
win the ugly
going, if
person,
you're going with
not-
color, you got them beat already. Oh wait.
Declaring it in advance.
If nothing else, that would end my report.
Alrighty, we'll go on to the next item, committee reports.
Committee reports. All right, thank you. Item B1A, financials, we've gotten through that, so there was a discussion at the Finance Committee with respect to insurance. 2 items, one being liability, one being property. It was discussed and reviewed at the Finance/Building Committee meeting, and it was agreed to accept K&K's preliminary pricing, which increased at 2.5% to accept their offer for the liability side. There was another component, that being the property side, which Brian and Ben from the insurance company, our advisors, provided some information with respect to the property. Discussed that. The insurance at that time was an 8.5% increase, and they were going to go back and do a little bit more work to sift those numbers out, and so they'll be coming back on the 14th of December with more information with respect to our property. Project updates. It was reported that the keyless entry project is complete, and the very last item is the escrow balance and performance, and that was reviewed. So that would conclude the Finance Committee report. With that, I would make a motion to.
Do we want to do a separate motion for the insurance? Because.
Oh,
Dan
sure. So-
Abstains from that, but you wouldn't have to abstain from the entire committee report then?
Well, that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, I would make a motion to accept K&K's liability insurance as presented.
Second.
Okay, So, roll call on that, Blake?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Troy?
Yes.
Dan?
Abstain.
Okay. And then,
Then I would make a motion to accept the finance committee report as presented.
Blake?
Yes.
Nancy? Troy, or Rick?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Troy?
Yes.
And Dan?
Yes.
All right. Next is additional items. Is there any additional items we brought forth?
Congratulations to the USA soccer team.
Yeah.
I ran.
You ran.
Do they win?
I was just gonna say, because
They
now
did.
so the soccer captain got berated by
Yeah, but you
by
don't say I.
isn't it Iranian?
Iran.
Iran,
Ran.
not Iran.
No, it's not I. It's-
Congratulations to them
Good
to
to
getting
beat
into the
Iran.
knockout round.
Good to beat them.
Other than that,
Other
That's
than
all I
that,
got.
I guess we are adjourned.
We're adjourned.